Welcome to another Kings of War battle report, the Epic Quest, Game 8, Halflings versus Sylvan Kin. 2,000 points, and the scenario was Invade. Before we get into this battle report, you might wonder why it's been such a huge gap between Game 7 and this one. And the main reason why is that I got COVID, and it really put me down for like 3 weeks. And kind of before that, I was in a painting slump and gaming slump, so it kind of has extended for several months now. And just want to encourage you, if you've not been vaccinated, go ahead and try it. I mean, honest to goodness, it's not to keep you from getting it, it's to keep you from dying if you get it. And I have multiple sclerosis, and with that, I mean, it easily could have killed me. So I just urge you to get vaccinated. This is my Sylvan Kin army. I probably have not that many points. I really don't of these guys. So these are most of the models that I own for this, but it's based on my old Wood Elf army from the Warhammer days. It's a troop of Boss Grace, which are War Dancers, a troop of Glade Stalkers, which are Kindred Glade Stalkers, I think, and they are my Way Watcher models. A regiment of Kindred Archers, which are the old plastic archers. Excuse me. 2 regiments of Hunters of the Wild, my Metal Dryads with the Brew of Strength and Healing Brew. A horde of Forest Shamblers, which are my old Treekin models with the Brew of Sharpness. The Windborn, which are Elven Horse Archers. A regiment of Stormwind Cavalry with Pathfinder. The Wiltfather, an ASB with Loot. An Elven Archmage with the Lightning Bolt and Boomstick. And lastly, Nimue Warrior Dancer. Okay, this is Carl's Halfling Army. He is in the midst of painting it. So between some of the troops painted, and then we proxied some stuff in there and substituted. We have his horde of forest trolls, which are my old GW river trolls, I think. So I am not exactly sure of all the points in this, and we should have, before the battle, maybe just reduced it to 1,500 points. Make it a little easier for him to field everything, because it doesn't really matter to me where we play. I just haven't played in so long. This starts off with a horde of Braves, a horde of Spear Spikes, a horde of Stalwarts, a regiment of Poachers, a regiment of Juggers, a regiment of Wild Lancers, a horde of Forest Trolls, a Howitzer, a Saucerer, and a Sergeant. So, which is misspelled, I just want to point out. But anyway, this is what Carl has available right now. And so kind of the Epic Quest thing is that we play with all the figures that we have, and not what we would want to have. All right, this is the Halfling deployment from left to right. On the far left here, we have a regiment of Juggers protecting Carl's right flank. I'm sorry for this ungodly bad picture, but there's a unit of Forest Trolls in the forest, ironically, and a unit of Braves holding the middle of the gap between the 2 woods, and behind them is the feared Iron Beast. Okay, the middle of the line was anchored by the Stalwarts with great weapons, and then the unit of Spear Spikes, and I believe that's the Sorcerer behind those 2 units. Over to the left and rear a little bit is the Howitzer. And that's one of my old GW mortars that I'm going to give to Carl. But I have a Halfling hot pot somewhere for him. I just am having a heck of a time finding it to give it to him for this. Plus, I have at least a regiment's worth of old GW Halfling archers that are already painted and everything. So I think that once we get all the stuff in there, this army is going to be really nice. Okay, all of the Minotaurs you see on the table are part of my herd army, and we use them for EJ Grenadiers since they were appropriately sized large infantry. All right, the 2 cavalry regiments. One is a regiment of Wild Lancers, and the other one is a regiment of Wild Runners. And I believe the ones on the very end are the shooty ones. And on top of the hill is a unit of Poachers, which actually did fairly good this battle. I was quite impressed with the Poachers, and maybe they just got lucky. So here's the good guys army, meaning my army. Starts off on the left here, actually on the right on the screen. It starts off with a unit of Windborn, and then the next thing is Nimue, and then beside those are a unit of kindred archers waiting at the bottom of the hill. And somehow, and I think it's because of another list I was making, a unit of kindred, a troop of kindred tall spears worked their way onto the table. Besides those are the ASB with loot. The next unit over is going to be a regiment of Hunters of the Wild. These have the Brew of Strength. And behind them is a regiment of Stormwind Cavalry. These guys have the Pathfinder upgrade. Then the Boss Grace, and then the other unit of Hunters of the Wild, followed by the Tree Man, a.k.a. Wiltfather. Then the Treekin / Forest Shamblers are over there next to the house. And on the very end, I put the Sylvan Glade Stalkers so they can scout forward into the woods and start raining arrows on the first turn. With a large percentage of my army scouting, I went ahead and moved some of the stuff forward. The Hunters of the Wild here on the left, it moved up to support the Hunters of the Wild on the right, a split between those woods. The Wiltfather moved up next to the wall there, and right next to him was the Forest Shamblers. And I thought maybe this, because, I mean, there's cavalry over there, but I was pretty sure that cavalry was not what I would call cavalry. It's probably not lethal. And then in the woods, the kindred glade stalkers had moved up to challenge the halfling poachers up on the hill. And I guess the one thing about this game, I've never read the Halfling book and didn't realize that that some of the units have various protections, let's say. And so it was kind of a surprise during the first turn. Carl didn't move this turn, but he ended up just jiggling some stuff around. And he did rain fire down on my army with some of his archery and other stuff. The unit of Hunters of the Wild on the right side took 6 wounds. I was not happy about that. Well, with him shooting me, I didn't want any more of the holding back option. So taking advantage of my scouting moves, I just continued to pour forward into the left flank of his army. My archers and the Elven Archmage went ahead and destroyed his shooting cavalry. I think they're called Wild Runners, but destroyed them easily with a vicious volley. I rolled really well, too. I mean, it wasn't like they just evaporated, but I was in pretty good shape here because I didn't really think any of those units could really hurt me. So that was the thing. I mean, this is the strength of my army right here, that little triumvirate of units. Over on my left flank, the kindred archers moved to the top of the hill along with the cheating, mysterious troop of long spears. And Nimue moved over. I couldn't really figure out what to do with Nimue on the first turn, so I just moved up with the other guys to give them inspire. The ASB with loot moved forward with the up to where the Hunters of the Wild were, and I just moved the cavalry behind them to give me a little protection from shooting. The Boss Grace moved up just enough to get into the edge of the woods there. Okay, with my army approaching rapidly, Carl went ahead and charged, trying to occupy all my forces. In the edge of the woods here, the EJ Grenadiers charged, actually not, that's their base. The EJ Grenadiers were charged by the unit of Forest Shamblers. The Lancers charged, Wild Lancers charged the Wiltfather. That's probably not going to end well for them. And then lastly, the severely wounded unit of Hunters of the Wild were charged by the Spear Spikes. And going to be a bloody fight over on this side of the table. On this side of the table, Carl was just content to shoot me with the Iron Beast. I think he put some shots he put them into the Hunters of the Wild right in front there. Actually did significant damage with them. So they into the trolls did edge forward because they were the one unit that had a similar charge to some of the units of my army. So the Lancers did 4 wounds to Brownbeard, my Wiltfather, and the EJ Grenadiers managed to do a single wound to the Forest Shamblers, and of course we easily held this onslaught. Here is the final result of the fight, he got the stupid Hunters of the Wild up to 8. He did 2 more wounds to him, which was actually pretty lackluster, and but did manage to waver that unit, and they're pretty much doomed, and I knew it. At the start of my turn, I thought I could isolate and kill this unit of Juggers. I did not realize that Juggers had armor 5. That's a true story. I started moving stuff around, just I'll win this, easily blow those guys away, because the other cavalry on the other side are not very sturdy, let's say. So I flew Nimue over there to fireball the Juggers, and then I turned my archers on the hill to shoot at the Juggers, and then I got the, what are those guys? The Windborn moved up to not only to shoot, but to push them back with wind blast. So I thought I had a pretty good chance of taking these guys out, but it went pear-shaped. So since the Hunters of the Wild were wavered, the Boskgrace moved in to the fight and charged into his unit of spear spikes and just did incredible damage. I mean, it was off the chain, and did not kill them, but they felt like they were in a fight. So the Wiltfather did an incredible 10 wounds and destroyed the Lancers in one go, and then the Warshamblers also killed the unit opposing them. The thing is, I'd given them Brew of Sharpness. I've learned, I like Warshamblers. They're kind of blah right in the middle thing. But you give them Brew of Sharpness, and they actually can do something. So especially that's in accord with the Wiltfather standing there near them to give them Inspire. And then since the Wiltfather causes damage every turn, that does help. And having Armor 5 really makes them sturdy. Now, the mistake I made was probably not putting Nimue over here on this side for healing or any of that kind of stuff. So, On this side of the table, I think it was the Iron Beast thing managed to waver my unit of Hunters of the Wild. It was a good roll. I think it was an 11 or something like that, and I got them stuck. And that meant my cavalry, which should have just easily swept through a lot of that stuff, ended up not being able to move this turn. So I just sidestepped them over to the edge of the woods. Having Pathfinder, that's really handy because now I could easily charge out of those woods and into whatever happens to break through the line. The unit of cheating unit, I should say, of Tall Spears moves forward to support them and protect them. You know, there's sometimes in gaming where you do something that you think is very cute and then it just goes blah. This one was hilarious because I managed to do 4 wounds with my archers, with Nimue, and the Windborn. And the Windborn knocked these guys, the Juggers, so far back that they were able to turn and shoot Nimue, even though I'd flown right beside them where they couldn't do it. And I think I knocked them back like 5 inches. And Nimue gets whacked by this regiment of Juggers. That was I was like, I just didn't see that coming. But then again, I didn't know they were armor 5 till I shot at them. So the unit of Stalwarts charge into my Boskgrace, but they are hindered going through difficult terrain. And then just to the right of them, the Spear Spikes goes into the very wounded unit of Hunters of the Wild. The EJ Grenadiers / EJ Minotaurs goes into the Forest Shamblers since they've taken 1 wound. I think it was to use the Relentless thing, but I don't really know what that was. So anyhow, but they were going to try to keep him from pinning him because I do have Surge, even though I forgot about it the whole game. So the Braves move forward to try to block up some stuff there. As you can see, the Trolls, I don't know why the Trolls were held back so much. I mean, they had Pathfinder. They could have sat in the edge of the woods. But of course, most of my army has Pathfinder too. So I guess that would probably be why you did it, because it was actually a good counter to the Pathfinder, to having the river. I mean, not the river Trolls, but the Forest Trolls in his army, was the fact that my army had a similar speed and had Pathfinders. So that was a big thing. So the Spear Spikes are attacking the very, very wounded unit of Hunters of the Wild and kill them easily on the first roll. But with the Wiltfather there inspiring them, they forced him to make a second roll. And you could see the result, Snake Eyes. And that was really going to shift the game, because I think if he could have got through there, got through the boss grace, I think I don't really have anything behind him that much to stop the rest of the army going forward. So this was a huge turning point of the game. I mean, it was just a disaster for him, because you can see the Wiltfather is on his flank. He needed to kill that unit and move forward. Actually, needed to kill both units and move forward. May have been a little dicey, but still, I mean, there was an opportunity there. With the disastrous Snake Eyes roll, that allowed the Wiltfather to easily charge into the flank and destroy the unit of spear spikes. Also, the not killing the boss grace allowed the Stormwind Lancers to hit into the unit of stalwarts and wavered them. So this is a disaster going all over the place. The Forest Shamblers rolled pretty inept and just wavered the unit in front of it, but the combined shooting of the Archmage and the Gladestalkers managed to finally kill off the unit of poachers up on the hill. Okay, the Hunters of the Wild and the cheating spearmen moved forward and charged into the Braves, who were undamaged this time, but I did manage to do a lot of wounds with the since I had the Brew of Strength. And I finally remembered that I also had Chant on the ASB, who's standing right behind that unit. So pretty good result there. Didn't get a lucky waver, but it was okay. So the Forest Trolls finally enter the fray, slamming into the cheating spearmen, and of course the Braves counterattack the Hunters of the Wild, since they already have 4 wounds on them. I think they kept getting shot by the Iron Beast. Well, the collapse after these Snake Eyes is showing its effect this turn as I respond. The easily destroyed the stalwarts, and the spear spikes are gone. Now the Wiltfather is in position to attack the Iron Beast. The Trolls they did their thing, but now they are in serious trouble because the Lancers have turned, and of course with their extended charge range, that won't be good. Okay, the Windborn managed to push the Juggers back yet again to the other side of the table. So didn't do a lot of damage, but they are getting a good push on them. The archers just moved down the hill to, once he moves to charge something else, maybe I could sneak him across the middle line and use him for a scoring unit. But I think at this point that it doesn't really matter. Carl was trying to make a late push to get some points, and the Trolls go ahead and charge into the very wounded unit of Kindred Archers, and the Iron Beast charge into the Hunters of the Wild, and they are up to 6 wounds, so that was probably going to be easy pickings for him. Because of getting pushed back, the Juggers could not reach my guys, so they moved up as close as they could, and at least to contest, to keep me from going over there and scoring easily. The Trolls just wiped out the hapless Kindred Archers, but I thought they did a good job throughout the game, to be honest. So during my turn 5, I managed to destroy the Trolls with my Lancers, and then the Wiltfather came in and did 8 wounds to the Iron Beast, but did not kill it. And the Wiltfather had been taking fire the entire game from stuff and wounds in combat, so he was up to 7 wounds, and then Carl popped 6 more on him and killed him, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. The only thing left on the table, and it kills my Wiltfather. But anyway, the reason why it's so funny is because I was playing a Warhammer tournament one day, and this guy comes charging out. It was one of those Speed Saurus guys. I forgot what we used to call him. And he comes charging out of this unit and hits one of my units, and I go, hey, what's that guy? And he goes, that's my Speed Saurus guy. And it was like this unpainted model with no arms, no ornaments, no nothing. I mean, you couldn't tell it was, what it was from anything. And that was started the joke about playing with unpainted models, is that how much I was pissed about that during that game. And I mean, I didn't mind the unpainted model, but I would at least like it assembled. So it was just funny about that. And I was just sitting there going, I was talking to Sean, and I said, oh my God, he killed my tree man with an unpainted model. So the Snake Eyes caused an easy win for the Sylvan Kin. And I think that probably what we should have done this game, honestly, is to play at a smaller level, like 1,500 or something like that. Because Carl's still trying to get all of his models together and get them painted and everything. And I probably have close to, I don't know, maybe 3,500 points worth of Sylvan Kin if I kind of gather everything in. So that's not a lot, but I really was happy that I was able to have a fully painted army basically made out of scraps from other things. And you'll probably see these guys again because my elf army is a significant quantity of nature units in it, so to speak. So it's really funny that you could take some of these armies and make them into other armies without having to paint a thing. You just grab it and move it over to the next army. So that's kind of cool. I mean, because my forest shamblers, I use them sometimes in my nature army, and and also sometimes in the elf army. So it's all cool. I mean, as far as stuff like that, and nature to me is one of the best armies as far as as a core starting army, because there's a lot you can do with it that when you start expanding, like if you have earth elementals, you could use them in your dwarf army. If you've got some of these other units, they could be used in a herd army. So nature's a really good starting army to me. Now, it's a little tricky, but not super tricky to play. Sylvan Kin, I still don't know. I know they've done some improvements to them, and I enjoy the improvements. I never really thought they were super weak anyway. But again, we're not playing competitively. We're not playing in tournaments and stuff like that. We're just playing for fun, because I am pretty sure that my friend Craig Bornman beat me 7 or 8 times in a row with Sylvan Kin. I just could not get my head around how to stop that initial scouting thing. And then finally I did on the 7th. I think it was the 7th game I finally managed to win with my dwarfs. And the only way I did it was I just spammed armor 6 out the butt. So but that was the way I was able to do it. I mean, greater elementals, earth elementals, troops of units that are all armor 6. I think the only thing that was in that army that wasn't armor 6 was one Slayer guy. So that was pretty tough army to take down. Yeah, but I basically almost had to cheat to win because I kept getting killed by these stupid things. But anyway, interesting game. We'll do another game with the Halflings, probably less points, and probably go through and work with Carl a little bit on what we can do to improve his army as far as some better maybe some appropriate magic items and things like that to increase their toughness. Like, I kind of like the stalwarts, but they could use something. I mean, they could have probably just kept their armor 5 and had brew of strength and ended up being a much tougher. Even though they're a good unit, they'd be even much tougher then. So, anyway, it was a good game. Hadn't played in a long time. Apologize for some of the crappy pictures and stuff, because again, it's been a while since I've done a battle report. But thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll have one next week.